All right, what's going on, guys? This is ATC, you know it, Adam Talks Cars. This is going to be episode 2 of Muffler Delete. That's where I'm going to give you my raw, unfiltered, loud, hopefully unedited opinions about topics I feel are particularly interesting in the auto industry, or particular things that I feel passionate about for some odd reason or another. And on this episode, I wanted to talk to you guys about the main 3 things or so that I have issues with in the current auto industry. They may not seem that major, but they're just little design things or functionality things that I don't sit totally right with me. So I'm just gonna go through them real quick. The first one is for some reason, now you might totally disagree with me, and I'm cool with that, so I hope you're cool with my opinion. I cannot stand square exhaust tips in performance cars. The C8 Corvette has quad square exhaust. What's up with that? I'm looking at it. It looks ugly. Why is it not round? I don't know. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I'm crazy. I don't like it. The standard exhaust on the 911 Turbo S, also quad square exhaust. Why the heck is it square? Why the heck do I have to pay $3,500 for an option to get exhaust that looks normal? Like, what's up with that? I don't know. And that definitely might just be me. Like, maybe people think that's cool. I don't know. I haven't really talked to other people about it. But I really cannot stand square exhausts. But, even worse than square exhausts are fake exhaust tips. And they are running rampant in the auto industry right now. I don't know whose idea this was. Like, I don't know why. What's the point of faking it? Like, the Nissan Sentra that my mom drives, the exhaust just goes out the bottom. Like, nothing fake. It's not a nice car. It's not ideal, but at least it's not pretending to be something it's not. Like, the Toyota Corolla hatchback has 2 fully fake exhaust tips. Like, it's plastic if you tap on it. It's not even a hole with an exhaust behind it, which Audi does a lot. I mean, a lot of car companies are guilty about that. If I named all the car companies that are putting fake exhaust tips in front of the actual exhaust, which is hiding behind it, I'd name almost every car company there is. Like, even now, there might be a reason for this, a performance reason that I don't know about, but even the 911 991 GT2 RS, the exhaust tips that you see on it are not actually connected to the exhaust pipes. The exhaust pipes are behind it. Now, that could be for some reason that I'm not aware of. Totally possible. And I'd be interested to know if that's the case. So if you know about that, let me know. But I don't know. If I was paying that amount of money for one of the nicest cars in the world, I don't know. I would just want my exhaust to be the real exhaust. Like, the exhaust pipes I'm looking at, I would want to be connected to the actual exhaust system. I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy for that, but that's probably my biggest pet peeve of all. And then next, I wanted to complain about, now, I hope this doesn't sound like me just listing my complaints, but that's kind of what this video is. The next major complaint that I have is crossovers with the coupe roofline, like the BMW X4, X6. I know Mercedes does it. I think with the GLE, they have a GLE coupe and maybe a GLC coupe. The Porsche Cayenne, they recently made a coupe roofline version. And I'm not really understanding with those what the intention is. Because people are buying SUVs already. Like, are you expanding the market by doing that? I don't really think so. Like, I don't think anyone is going to look at a Porsche Cayenne and be like, oh, that's perfect, but I need it to have a smaller trunk and I need it to have a more sloped roofline. I just don't see that happening. What consumers are they gaining by adding that roofline? You're losing functionality. Like, compare the BMW X3 to the X4. This is just a quick Google search that I did, that's all. And the trunk is 10 cubic feet smaller. 10. I think it's from, like, in the X4, which is the coupe roofline, is 18.7 or something around there. And then in the X3, which is the full crossover shaped, SUV shaped roofline, like normal, like you would expect when you're buying a crossover, it was in the high 20s for the trunk. This is with the seats upright, and then the difference in the trunks when you put the seats down grew even bigger to like 12 cubic feet, and that's a substantial difference. And oftentimes you're paying a higher price for the coupe roof line than you are for the regular one. I don't know. I really don't get it. If people want a performance car, aren't they just going to get the performance sedan? Right? I don't see what customers are gaining by just adding a sloped roofline. You lose the functionality, which is the main point of getting an SUV in the first place. You're losing rear seat headroom, and that's part of the functionality, of course. I don't know. But if you disagree, if you love coupe-shaped crossovers, or you own one, let me know why you love it. Because I'd be really interested to see what the appeal is in that, especially since when there's plenty of incredible regular performance SUVs where you're not sacrificing any practicality. You can get an X5M with over 600 horsepower. You can get a Cayenne GTS or something. I mean, these are spectacular performance vehicles, but you're not losing any of the functionality. You need an SUV? You can get a performance SUV. What is the sloped roofline adding? To me, nothing. I don't think it... Some people, I'm sure, think it looks better. I don't happen to be one of those people. And even if I did think it looked better, it doesn't look better enough to make up for the functionality that you're losing by not getting a regular SUV or crossover. All right. And my last complaint is a minor one, but I felt like it was important to include it, is a lot of... Actually, it's not a lot of... I would say the main one that stands out to me, I want to talk about outdated infotainment systems, and the main one that stands out to me is Lexus. They're still using like a touchpad in the center console, and I was excited to see the new IS. The new IS just got released and announced a few weeks ago, and I was excited to see the update. I was sure that they were going to update the infotainment because the center touchpad system is just so atrocious. And I read somewhere it was like, oh, it has a touchscreen infotainment. I was like, all right, great. It has a touchscreen infotainment, but it still has that center touchpad. And I was like, what? Why? It's ugly. It's ungainly. It's borderline unusable from at least my perspective of it. It doesn't seem viable to be using that while I'm driving, trying to scroll through a menu. I don't see how that's even possible. And I was talking to one of my friends about it, and he was like, well, I think Lexus generally has an older audience, so maybe they're not interested in using a touchscreen. But I'm thinking to myself, one, I don't really like that idea of boxing in car companies as for specific groups of people. But that's besides the point. I was really thinking to myself, wait, but how could this touchpad be any easier to use for an older person than touching the screen? Wouldn't using the screen be so much more straightforward? Like, this would be so confusing. And it is confusing for younger people, so I don't know if a 70-year-old guy or woman buying a Lexus that's going to be what makes them buy it, is how easy it is to use the infotainment with that awkward touchpad. I don't know. But I feel pretty confident in those complaints. If you have more information to give me to explain why any of these things are good or beneficial, feel free to let me know. Like, I want to know. I want to expand my horizons. But these are just the main issues that I've seen lately that irk me just enough for me to want to talk about them. All right. Cool. Thanks for tuning in to the second episode of Muffler Delete, and I'll see you next time.